Weeks after his release, Raymond decided to visit the prison lawyer's office to thank them personally. As he stepped into the building, one of the lawyers pulled him aside quietly. "Raymond," he said, "there is something else." Raymond frowned. "What is it?" The lawyer revealed a document, something they found during the case review. "We discovered Tracy had already filed for separation months ago. She withdrew it silently. Her motive wasn't just anger. She planned everything carefully. She wanted total destruction, but she didn't act alone." Raymond's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The lawyer leaned closer. She had been meeting with someone who encouraged her decisions, someone who benefited from your absence, someone close, someone you trusted. Raymond's mind raced. A colleague, a friend, a relative? Who? Raymond whispered. The lawyer tapped the file calmly, then looked up. "Raymond, Dennis is connected to this." Raymond stared at him like the words didn't land properly. "Which Dennis?" he asked slowly. "Your friend." Raymond blinked hard. "My best friend? Dennis?" The lawyer didn't respond immediately. He slid a stack of documents across the table. "These are phone logs, transaction records, screenshots of social media accounts he sponsored, payments he made to news pages, influencers, bloggers." Raymond's eyebrows pulled together as he leaned in. The receipt didn't lie. Dennis had pushed the story online. He funded the outrage. He paid people to discuss the case. He boosted posts that painted Raymond as a monster. Raymond held the papers with trembling fingers. Why? Why would he do that?" The lawyer shook his head. "We don't have answers to his motives, but the pattern is clear. He amplified everything. He made sure the case caught fire, and he made sure you had no room to defend yourself." Raymond stared at the document again, numb. The lawyer continued. "We also recovered Tracy's earlier separation draft. She didn't write it alone. Dennis guided her. His email was listed as a secondary account." Raymond whispered, "I don't understand." The lawyer rested his hands on the table gently. Tracy was emotionally unstable at the time. Dennis fed her anger. He shaped the story she believed. Raymond looked up, broken. The lawyer exhaled quietly. He closed the file. "That is all we can confirm legally." Raymond didn't know how deep the manipulation had gone. All he knew was that a friend he trusted had pushed his family into a fire. The lawyer closed the file carefully. "Raymond," he said, "we can't undo what happened. But now you know what we were able to verify. Dennis contributed heavily to everything." Raymond nodded slowly, jaw clenched. "Where is he now?" he asked. The lawyer hesitated. "He left the country 2 days after Tracy was arrested." Raymond's heart sank. "He ran?" "Yes." "No arrest, no questioning?" The lawyer shook his head. "There is no legal case against him. There is no law against sponsoring social media posts or giving Tracy advice. Morally wrong? Yes. Legally punishable? No." Raymond looked down, tears gathering in his eyes. He whispered, barely audible, "So, he gets to live his life?" "For now," the lawyer said quietly. Raymond closed his eyes. A long, shaking breath escaped him. Pain moved across his face slowly, like a storm climbing through him. Everything inside him felt different now. He was angry. A friend he loved had destroyed everything, and now he was gone. When the meeting ended, he walked out of the office slowly, almost as if his legs were learning how to move again. His mother's house was quiet when he arrived. She tried to speak to him, but he held up his hand gently, not to silence her, but because he didn't have the strength to unpack the truth aloud. He sat on the edge of the bed that night, staring at nothing. The lawyer's voice echoed in his mind. Dennis's name repeated non-stop. And the question he couldn't escape clung to him. How long had Dennis been studying his life, watching it, wanting what he had? Raymond didn't sleep that night. The weight of realizing he had trusted the wrong person so deeply kept him awake. But the truth, the part that destroyed his family, the part that no lawyer could put on paper, that story ran much deeper. Dennis had been around Raymond's family for years, too close. So close that the kids called him Uncle D. So close that Tracy didn't even change her tone around him. Too close that he walked into their home like he lived there. Raymond never worried. Why would he? Dennis was loyal, reliable, a brother in every sense. Until one afternoon. That was the day everything changed. Dennis had stopped by unannounced, like he always did. Raymond wasn't home, but he knocked anyway. He had something to tell him about work. He knocked again, the door opened, and Tracy stood there, not dressed, not prepared, just a towel wrapped around her body. She froze. He froze. She gasped, embarrassed. I thought it was Raymond. Please, come in. Let me go and dress. She stepped aside quickly, avoiding eye contact, and rushed inside. Dennis stood at the doorway, staring at the spot she left. Something in him shifted, something he didn't push away. That single moment planted a seed he never should have watered. From that day, Dennis didn't see Tracy as his friend's wife anymore. He saw her as someone he wanted, someone he felt entitled to, someone he believed he could win if he played his cards well. It didn't happen immediately. It started quietly. He visited more, stayed longer, observed more. He noticed the tiny cracks in their marriage, normal things every couple experience. But in his mind, every crack was an opportunity. He started small. Ray, hope you're giving Tracy enough attention. She looks stressed these days. Then he tried a different angle. You don't go out anymore. Life is too short to cage yourself. Raymond didn't take the bait at first. He loved his family. He loved his wife. He wasn't interested in being reckless. But Dennis was determined and patient. He introduced Raymond to a woman at a lounge. She's just a friend, he said. Relax, talk, have fun. Raymond kept his distance, but the woman didn't. She began sending him pictures, unwanted pictures, messages he didn't encourage. He told her to stop several times, but Dennis, he was watching everything, encouraging her to push harder. The moment Dennis sensed Tracy was stressed, he didn't rush. He didn't attack the marriage directly. He approached her the way a person approaches a crack on a glass, slowly, gently, waiting for the right pressure point. It started one quiet afternoon. Tracy was sitting outside, tired from a long day with the kids. Dennis slipped into the compound like he always did, but this time, he pulled up a chair beside her. You look tired, he said softly. Tracy sighed. It's just motherhood. Dennis smiled a little, pretending to be supportive. I understand. Marriage too, it can drain someone. No, Raymond helps. He tries. Dennis nodded slowly, like he agreed, but his eyes held a different meaning. He murmured, leaning back. You're lucky then. Tracy frowned slightly. What do you mean? Dennis gave a half laugh, the type that sounds harmless but carries poison. Let's be honest, can you really trust men 100%? Most of them cheat. Tracy snapped her head in his direction. Raymond isn't like that. He's different. He loves me. Dennis raised an eyebrow politely. I know he does, but loving someone doesn't stop temptation. Men are weak. They hide things. Tracy's face tightened. Not Raymond. Dennis shifted forward, elbows on his knees, voice low and subtle, like someone sharing a painful truth. Tracy, don't be too sure. Men can be full of surprises. She shook her head again, but this time less confidently. The seed was planted. Dennis noticed. He softened his voice. I'm not telling you to fight him. I'm not saying he's doing anything. I'm only saying keep your eyes open. Tracy didn't respond. She took a deep breath, trying to brush it off. But Dennis saw the doubt for me. He let a small silence sit between them before leaning back in casually. Can I tell you something? You're a woman. You deserve to know the truth about your home. And sometimes, Men hide things even from the women they love. Tracy's chest rose and fell a little faster. Raymond doesn't hide things from me, she said, but the conviction in her voice was cracking. Dennis nodded, pretending to agree. Okay, if you're sure, then that's beautiful. He paused. Just don't conclude until you check his phone. Tracy blinked. Why are you saying that? Dennis shrugged, as if it meant nothing. You know I love your family. I want you happy, but I have seen things. Men get bored. They try new things. Even good men sleep sometimes. The word slipped right into the crack he had been nurturing. Tracy looked away. She didn't believe him. But she didn't completely dismiss him either. Dennis glanced at her again, voice mild, harmless, almost brotherly. Tracy, if you have peace in your heart, good. But if something feels off, just check. It's better to know than to assume. She stayed silent, and then the final blow, the sentence that sealed everything. Maybe you should check Raymond's phone. He said it casually, like he was recommending a movie. No pressure, no urgency, just a suggestion. But it was coming from the one man she trusted second only to her husband's closest friend. Of course, she listened. Dennis didn't say another word. He didn't push. He didn't insist. He simply let the idea settle inside her like a drop of ink spreading through water. Tracy didn't check the phone that night out of suspicion. She checked it out of curiosity. Curiosity planted by someone she trusted deeply. She believed his concern was genuine. She believed he was helping her. She believed he was a loyal friend protecting her marriage. But what she didn't know was that Dennis had been waiting for that moment, patiently, strategically. And the second she opened that phone, the betrayal began unfolding exactly as he planned. Within minutes, Tracy saw the messages, the pictures, the girl's name, everything Dennis wanted her to see. She didn't read the full conversations. She didn't see Raymond's warnings to the girl. She didn't see that he hadn't cheated. She didn't see that he wasn't interested. She only saw what Dennis wanted her to see, and that was enough. She broke down that night, crying, confused, hurt. And who did she call to talk to? Dennis. He let her pour everything out. He listened like a man waiting for an opening. And when she was weakest, he whispered the words that completed the damage. Don't confront him yet. Don't fight him. Just protect yourself. Those words became the starting points of the trap Tracy walked into. And Dennis, he knew exactly what he was doing. After Raymond's arrest, Dennis stepped into Tracy's life with the confidence of someone who had made it. At first, Tracy thought he was just being supportive. He came with food. He brought small things for the girls. He checked on her every evening. He acted like the friend every abandoned woman should have. But soon, people began noticing how Dennis hovered around her too often. Neighbors whispered. Friends raised eyebrows. Tracy ignored all of them. He became her shoulder, her comfort, her advisor, and Tracy, still angry, confused, and convinced she'd been betrayed, let her guard down completely. She didn't see that Dennis was slowly replacing Raymond in every corner of her life. One day, he told her, "You don't have to go through this alone. I'll always be here." And that was the moment Tracy held on to him. Their conversations changed. Their closeness changed. Their boundaries disappeared. They spent long hours together. They stayed at each other's homes. They laughed loudly in public like they were the only two people in the world. And Dennis, who had once been the quiet family friend, began acting like he already owned the family he helped destroy. People noticed the way he placed his hand on Tracy's back, the way he held her hand absent-mindedly, the way she smiled at him, not with innocence, but with someone who had surrendered her heart completely. Some neighbors murmured behind her back, "Isn't this her husband's best friend? She didn't even wait. This is terrible." But Tracy didn't care. Dennis had filled her mind with so much anger and false confidence that she believed she was finally choosing herself. What she didn't know was that Dennis was choosing himself. He talked about traveling soon. He talked about taking her with him, He talked about starting a new life far away from all the drama, and Tracy, lost in the illusion, believed every word. While Raymond was rotting in a small cold cell, he had no idea that his wife and best friend were building a new life. He had no idea someone else was sleeping in the home he built. In the prison, Tracy's heart dropped when she heard that Dennis had fled the country. Her whole body went cold. Nothing prepares you for the moment you realize you were used. She stopped eating. She barely spoke. She cried herself to sleep every night. The pillow in her cell was often soaked by morning. One afternoon, during routine checks, Tracy fainted unexpectedly. The officer called medical staffs immediately. Minutes later, the nurse came out with wide eyes. She's pregnant. Tracy woke up hours later in the infirmary, confused and weak. When the doctor repeated the result, she broke completely. Pregnant for Dennis. She wailed, a raw, aching sound only a heart shattered by regret can produce. Why did I listen to him? What have I done? What have I done to my children? What have I done to myself? Officers stood in the hallway, listening silently. Nothing they said could comfort her. Nothing could reverse her choices. Nothing could erase the reality she now carried inside her. For the first time, Tracy understood the scale of her mistake. She hadn't just hurt Raymond. She had destroyed her own life with her own hands. And the man she destroyed everything for was thousands miles away, living peacefully. Outside the prison, Raymond was rebuilding quietly. He didn't wake up one morning suddenly healed. Recovery didn't rush towards him like some dramatic breakthrough. It came slowly, the kind that crawls into your life one small day at a time. He kept quiet most days, choosing silence over conversations he couldn't yet handle. Sometimes, he sat in his mother's sitting room for hours, just breathing and trying to settle his mind. Other times, he took long walks around the compound, thinking about everything he had survived. His daughters were the only source of warmth that returned to him quickly. The moment the courts allowed supervised reunions, the girls ran into his arms like they were filling up all the empty spaces inside him. "Daddy, I missed you. Daddy, don't go again." Their tiny voices cracked him open every time, but the hugs held him together. The specialist slowly helped the children talk about what happened, not the details, but the emotions. Raymond didn't blame them. They were children, and children repeat what they hear from the adults they trust. He told them, "I'm not angry with you." And he meant it. He was angry at life, angry at the betrayal, but never at his daughters. Every session felt like untying knots one by one. And even though the road was long, they were walking it together. Meanwhile, Tracy had reached her breaking point. Prison wasn't a punishment. Her mind was. Every day she watched other women receive visits. Mothers came for their daughters. Siblings waved through the glass. For Tracy, nobody came. Not her parents, siblings, not anyone from the neighborhood. Officers sometimes glanced at her with pity. It wasn't their job to soothe an inmate's pain, but Tracy's agony was too obvious to ignore. She wasn't violent. She wasn't rebellious. She was just broken. The news of her pregnancy hadn't stayed private. The other inmates whispered, "Pregnant for who? Not her husband. Hey, some women are full of disgrace." Tracy didn't respond. She didn't fight back. She didn't correct them. She simply curled up on her bunk and cried into the pillow until sleep finally dragged her under. One night, after lights out, she whispered into the darkness like someone begging the walls to forgive her. "I destroyed everything. Everything. For someone who never loved me." She placed a trembling hand on her stomach and sobbed silently. "I am so sorry. I am so sorry." Guilt had taken over her soul, and nothing in that cell could numb it. While Tracy was drowning in regret, Raymond was learning how to breathe again. One afternoon, he received an invitation from a friend, someone who ran a podcast about justice, mental health, and real stories people needed to hear. At first, Raymond didn't want to speak publicly. He didn't want to relieve the pain or open himself to questions. But the more he thought about it, the more one truth came to him. Speaking might save someone else. So, he agreed. Raymond sat down, nervous but calm. The host smiled gently. "Whenever you're ready," he said. Raymond took a slow breath, then he spoke. He talked about the accusations, the arrest, the year in prison, the shame, the pain of knowing nobody believed him, the betrayal. But he didn't stop there. He spoke about something deeper. How society reacts, he said. How quickly people point fingers. How men are judged by the tears of others without evidence. How false accusations destroy more than reputations. They crush families. How the system moves faster when there is pressure, but slower when there is truth. And how manipulation, emotional, subtle manipulation, can lead a person to make the worst decision of their life. He didn't shout, cry, or dramatize. He just spoke like a man carrying a truth too heavy to keep hidden. The host asked gently, "Do you forgive your wife?" Raymond looked at the floor for a long moment. "No," he answered softly. "I don't hate her, but I don't forgive her. Some wounds close, but they don't forget how they were made." The host didn't push further. When the podcast recording was almost over, the host leaned forward and asked one final question. "What do you want people to understand about cases like yours?" Raymond sat quietly for a moment. His hands were clasped, his eyes unfocused, as if searching through the memories he tried so hard to leave behind. Then, he lifted his head. "There are many people in prison who don't belong there," he said softly. The room was silent. The host nodded gently, letting him speak. Raymond continued. "People think my case was rare, but let me tell you something. The year I spent in that cell opened my eyes." He shifted his chair, voice steady but heavy. "There was a man I met there. His name is Shola." Raymond's throat tightened, but he pushed through. He had been in prison for 12 years. 12, not 12 days, not 12 months. 12 years for something he kept saying he didn't do. The host's eyebrows rose slowly. Raymond nodded. "He told me his story one night when we couldn't sleep. He was arrested during a fight in his neighborhood. A woman screamed his name out of anger, out of emotion, not because he did anything, but the police came and her tears carried more weight than his words. He kept saying he had no lawyer, no money, no voice, and nobody believed him. The woman never even showed up again. The first statement alone sent him away. He remained there forgotten." The host leaned back, shocked. Raymond's voice grew firmer. "I used to think prison was full of dangerous people, but I met men who were simply unheard. Men whose lives were destroyed because someone pointed at them, cried a little, and walked away while they rotted behind bars." He shook his head slowly. "I'm not saying all men are innocent, but we cannot deny that many are buried alive under the weight of lies and emotional manipulation. Society is quick to believe tears and slow to ask questions." Raymond looked straight into the camera now. "If I don't have a mother who prayed every second and volunteers who reviewed cases, I will still be there today, just like Shola." His voice thickened. "That man is still there, still waiting, still shouting into walls that never answered." The host whispered, 12 years. Raymond nodded painfully. "Yes, 12 whole years." Women's tears move the world, and sometimes dangerously so. Some people weaponize emotion, and when they do, innocent men pay with their lives. He paused. I saw Shola's eyes. There was no anger in them, just exhaustion. He told me, "Raymond, I don't need anyone to pity me. I just want someone to believe me." Raymond inhaled deeply. That sentence has never left me. A bit of silence sat between them. Then Raymond finished. "I want to fight for people like him now. Men without voices. Men who have been erased. If my pain can help even one of them come out, then everything I went through won't be for nothing. When the episode aired, that segment alone went viral. People didn't just hear Raymond's story, they heard the story of men society misjudged and forgot. Comments flooded in. God, this is heartbreaking. We need justice reform. Men also deserve justice. People are too quick to take sides. We need stricter penalties for false accusations. This is happening more than we know. And for the first time since he walked out of those prison gates, Raymond felt useful again. Raymond didn't become famous. He didn't seek sympathy. He simply became a voice for people who had known. He joined a small organization supporting wrongly accused individuals. He attended meetings. He shared experiences. He helped new victims navigate their cases. For once, his pain was being used for something that mattered. And then, there was Dennis. People expected the police to chase him. They didn't. There was no official case against him. He didn't break a law. He broke a life. Dennis remained in another country quietly, found a small job, rented a room, started living a low-profile life. No fancy lifestyle, no luxury. He didn't reach out, he didn't apologize, he didn't explain. He simply existed somewhere else, building a new life on top of the ruins he left behind. People like Dennis rarely face consequences in court. Their punishment is quieter, loneliness, restlessness, an empty life built on guilt they would never admit. And for a man as prideful as Dennis, that was its own kind of prison. Months passed. Raymond's healing deepened. Tracy's belly began to show. One afternoon, while sitting outside, Raymond's mother placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You've survived what many men don't come back from," she said softly. "Don't let this pain define your future." Raymond nodded. He didn't have many words left these days, but he had peace. A small, steady peace that wasn't loud, but it was real. He never visited Tracy. He never asked about Dennis again. He never looked back. Some stories don't end with closure. They end with acceptance. Raymond accepted that his life would never return to what it was. But he also accepted that he didn't need it to. He had his daughters, he had his mother, he had his voice, and he had his future. What he lost would always hurt, but what he gained would guide him for the rest of his life. The world had watched him fall. Now, they would watch him rise. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please give it a like and drop a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.